Karl Truman, the personal injury lawyer, and we have him right here at WBKI. How exciting for us. We have so many questions to ask you, Karl, and we're just going to start throwing the questions out right now. Are you ready?
Great.
Prepared?
Great. 20 seconds.
It's going to have to do with medical malpractice, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury law, Social Security, and workers' compensation. We have a lot of issues between the two of us.
A lot going on.
It's like, how much time do we have here? Hold on.
This guy, the first one, Richard from New Albany, is talking about all kinds of things. And Karl, when you answer a question from a mailbag, it's really important to know that you can only give limited information on television. They have to contact you, actually.
Yeah, obviously I can't really give it every aspect of it. So, you know, there's always a disclaimer that I can't, you know, without actually consulting with someone.
Yes.
So it does make it tough, but, you know, can try to give general guidance.
Yeah, well, when he asks this question, he wants an answer because he's out some big money, okay?
Yeah.
Richard says, I own a printing business. A company in Houston, Texas sent a check to pay for posters for an upcoming event. Working under a tight deadline, I completed the posters and sent them to the company.
Interesting.
The company put a stop payment on the check. I did not hear about the stop payment until after the posters were sent to Houston. I am out $2,000.
Uh-oh.
The company in Houston will not return phone calls. Is this fraud? What are my options? Ouch.
Richard from New Albany.
Yeah, well, of course.
$2,000.
Yeah, of course. This is kind of out of my area of personal injury. This is more of a contract law dispute, and so what I would suggest for Richard, talk to a contract or a collection lawyer. For that amount of money, it may be tough as far as how you're going to pay for the attorney and still make money on the deal. You know, you might turn him over to a collection agency. You know, look at that, or you know, take them to small claims court. So I would talk to an attorney that really specializes in although we can't use the word specialize, but focuses on collection law to see what kind of recourse you have.
And I would contact the Better Business Bureau. We've had them on the show a number of times, and they say, report people like that to us.
That's very true. And Karl, I know that's not in your practice area, but a question I have for collections is, how does that work? I mean, you know, you contact a collection company, and then they contact people and try and get a portion of the money. They try and get all of it.
Well, typically a lot of collection agencies will work on a percentage, so you can turn over, if you are a vendor and you you know, have collection issues, you can turn it over to them, and they'll typically charge a percentage, 20, 30% of the recovery.
Boy, those are the calls you just don't want to get.
No.
That just ruins your day when a collection agency calls you. So basically, when you're talking about personal injury, it can have something to do with your physical well-being. It can have to do with your financial well-being. It can do with personal property, I guess, if it's your car accident type of injury.
Sure.
And we talked, I think last week, we mentioned the fact that, what do you do when you've got a rental car? Do you have to buy the insurance that the rental company is pushing at you as you're signing the paperwork? Or can you rely on your own insurance to be able to cover all those things? Because I've got full coverage on my own car. Can we touch on that again?
Well, there's a term that I hear people use a lot, which really doesn't have any meaning. You know, the term full coverage. You know, clients will come in and say, well, I have full coverage. Well, full coverage, I don't know who made up that phrase, but the term full coverage has no legal meaning. You've got to look at what's called your declarations page, which will outline all of the coverage that you have. So in a situation like whether you're borrowing someone's car, or you're loaning your car to somebody else, or you're in a rental car, the thing to do is talk to your insurance agent and ask them what coverage you have, because they're the ones in the best position to be able to tell you. But if you have adequate coverage and you have the right coverage, then you should not have to pay extra for the collision waivers. It's not truly insurance on a rental car. They don't call it insurance.
Just a waiver.
It's a damage waiver.
Yeah.
So personally, see, I don't, you know, I know that I have coverage for that, so I don't buy that coverage. But again, you know, you have to talk to your own insurance agent to make sure that you're covered for that.
Absolutely.
Very interesting. Karl, I know you practice in many areas, medical malpractice, motor vehicle accidents. We talk about this all the time, every week. But you also, if someone comes to you, you're not, you know, I don't want to say a stereotypical lawyer, but you can guide them in other directions. You have other people that you work with from time to time.
Sure. One of the things, you know, of course, and I practice both Indiana and Kentucky, and that's something that I think that people have to be aware of, because so often attorneys in one state will try to handle a case in another state where they're not licensed, and they may not be aware of all the rules
Sure.
and the
Lots
ins and
going
outs
on.
of that other state. So I think that's one of the first questions you got to make sure when you call a lawyer. Is that lawyer licensed in the state where your accident happened?
Yeah.
But even if you're out of town, for example, I've had clients that have been on vacation in Florida and have been in an automobile accident. And they'll call me and they'll say, well, can you help me? Well, what I've done is I network with attorneys all over the country, and so what I did is I contacted an attorney in Florida that I knew, and I was able to connect them with an attorney that could help them in Florida where the accident happened.
Amazing.
And
What if you just drive across the river and get in an accident in Indiana, and then you have to deal with it living in Kentucky? Then we call you.
Well, and again, NC, since I practice both sides of the river, then I can get the two laws to work together.
Right.
Because there are certain aspects of Kentucky auto law and Indiana law, and so which one is more favorable for your situation?
Exactly.
Depending. But if say you live in Kentucky and you get hurt in Indiana, and you call an attorney in Kentucky because that's where you live, well, is that lawyer licensed in Indiana to handle that case?
Well, that's the way to find out, is to dial that telephone number and check out trumanlaw.com for more information on Karl Truman, personal injury lawyer.
And check in here every Tuesday.
Absolutely. He's going to answer your legal questions every single Tuesday on Louisville Live this morning.
Lots of information. Karl Truman, thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
We'll see you
See you,
next time.
Karl.